All right, welcome back. For this chapter here, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how to provide translations and localization in Liferay. It should be no surprise to you in this particular example that we're using with Livingston Hotels and Resorts that we would need to provide some translations and some localization for our content and also our pages in our different sites. So we've already looked at creating a Bali resort site and a resort site for Barcelona. Obviously, there's some different languages spoken there. We can, of course, have English content there as well, but we may need to provide some additional translations. So let's go ahead and look at what options we have for translations in Liferay. Okay. All right. Now, in order to provide translations for Liferay, there are a few things that you can do. You can provide translations at the page level for things like page names. You can also provide translations within the content that we create itself. All right, so when you have translations available, you can use things like the language widget to allow users to choose which language they want to select. You can also select a default language at the user level or at the site level as well, okay? So there are a number of things that we can do to provide those translations, and we're gonna take a look at that in this section. All right, now for providing what languages are available on the platform, there are actually two places you can do this. And they work a little bit differently. So the first one can be found in the instance settings and the second in the site settings. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay. All right, so I'm logged in here. I'm going to go ahead and open up the control panel as well as configuration and instance settings. All right, so let's go ahead and come over to the miscellaneous tab here. And in the miscellaneous tab here, we can see that we have a default language set for the entire platform, which is English. So in the case of Livingston Hotels and Resorts, because we are based in the United States, we can go ahead and just keep English here, okay? And we also have some available languages that we can choose, okay? So this is a list of all of the current languages we can provide translations for, and this is a list of all of the other language keys that are available on the platform that we can use as well, okay? So whatever we choose here is going to be basically the starting list for an individual site, okay? So in this section, you want to make sure that your administrators have all of the possible languages that you may need translations for. And then from there, when we're doing site management, for example, our site administrators can choose from that list of languages what they need for an individual site, okay? So for example, we might need all of these languages listed here: Chinese, Dutch, English, Finnish, etc., etc. But maybe for the resort site for Barcelona, perhaps we only want English and Spanish. All right, so what we can do from here is we can take a look at how to configure the language settings at a site level as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and just close this section up and open up the current site that I'm on. You guys don't have to do this with me. I'm just gonna go ahead and walk through this, okay? We can go to the configuration section, and we can go to site settings, okay? All right, in any site, you do have this languages tab. You'll see we can choose to use the default language options for the site, okay? And that's gonna be whatever we set up in the control panel, okay? Or we can define custom default languages here as well. Okay, again, so if we are working with the resort site for Barcelona, we can change this maybe to Spanish, okay? And we can even remove which languages we don't need here. So we can just make it so that for our content teams, the only languages available for them to create content for or provide translations for will be either Spanish or English, instead of having a large list here, okay? And by setting the default language to Spanish, we're of course assuming that those who would want to check out that site would be looking at it in that particular language. And of course, we can provide ways for users to switch languages as well. Like I said, the language widget is a good option for doing that. Okay. All right. Now you can create custom translations, like I said, anywhere, basically anywhere on the platform you see the flag. If you click on the Add Translation section there, you can go ahead and just provide translation. Like I said, this is true for pages, this is true for content, and it's also true for things like structure fields. Okay. So when we create those web content structures, like we talked about in some of the previous videos, we can actually make sure that each of those fields are localizable, and we can provide translations for those as well, okay? Now, full disclosure, in this particular build of Liferay, this beta build of Liferay, the structure localization isn't working as expected, but when the product is fully released, you will be able to use that functionality. Okay. All right. And again, like I said, what we can do is we can allow users to view all of the available languages for that particular site using that language widget. We can place that on a page somewhere. You can embed it in a page using themes or different things like that. Okay. And it will show them either a list, you can configure the widget, a list of the available languages, or we can just go ahead and show them the flags. Okay. Now, like I said, what we can do is we can set the site settings to determine the default language. So for example, if we had a resort in Japan, we might want to set the default language to Japanese so that we don't have the majority of users in Japan who would be using that site having to switch to Japanese because it's all in English. That may not make very much sense. But we can also provide the ability using this widget for other users to view the content in English or maybe anywhere else in the world where we think they might be interested. If we just set it to English, let's say someone from the United States wanted to go over there for some awesome convention, or they just want to go see all the cool things that Japan has to offer, they can go ahead and go to the site, and with this widget on the page, they can just select English and they can schedule their stay. Okay. So that is a nice way of doing that. Like I mentioned, we also can at the user level set a default language. So let's go ahead and take a look at that as well. So I'm going to open up my user panel here for the Josiah account that we logged into. I'm going to go to account settings. Okay. And I can set my default language here. And my default language is going to be, again, a list of the languages that we have made available on the platform in the instance settings. Okay. So either users can set their own language when they create their account, if that's the process that you have set up, or you can individually set languages on users as well. So there are some different options for that. Either we can do it at the site level, we can of course set it all for the instance level, but we can even get specific for the user as well. Okay, so what does it mean if a user changes their default language? Okay, what this means is if I were to set this to Spanish, for example, is I would be experiencing the entire platform in Spanish. So the menu would be in Spanish. Any of the default Liferay text is going to be in Spanish. And of course, if I'm on any site that I can access, if there is available Spanish translations, I will see that. Okay. So this is how it's going to basically break down when we create our content and provide translations. All right. In instances like that, basically it will show me the translations that are available, and if there are no translations available, it will just simply show me what is available in the default language. Okay, so that means if I have, again, at that resort site for Barcelona, okay, for the Livingston resorts, if I had, let's say, mostly Spanish translations, but the banner was only in English, what would happen if I went to that site as a user with that language set, either through the widget or through my user account, is I would see all the Spanish translations, but I would still see that banner in English because there is no provided translation. Okay, and again, that's assuming that English is the default language set for that site. All right, it could be the flip side as well. It could be that the default language is set to Spanish, and I might want to be viewing it in English, but if there is no English translation available, I will still only see things in Spanish. All right, so let's go ahead and what we'll do here is we're going to import some structures into the Barcelona. We'll create a new banner, and then we can provide some translations and see what the process would look like for actually doing the translations. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and hop over to our browser, and let's go ahead and navigate to the Livingston Resort at Barcelona. Okay. So go ahead and open up the site administration section. If you're not already logged in, make sure you're logged in, and click on the site selector, My Sites, and we're going to go ahead and find the section here that says 2 child sites under Livingston Hotels and Resorts. Click on that, and then it's going to be the right site here that we created most recently, called Livingston Resort at Barcelona. Okay. All right. So we have a default setup here. We want to go ahead and change this. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to actually turn off the inherit changes. Remember that hard link I talked about in the page template section? Okay. you'll see that this page is actually linked to the page template, so we'll need to actually turn that off in order to make sure that we can edit this page and provide a new banner. Okay, so go ahead and click on Configure Page. Okay, you'll see here that there is an Inherit Changes option. Go ahead and turn that to off. Okay, and click Save. All right. Okay, and what this does for us is it now, again, gives us the ability to move things around. We can add things. Okay, we have full administrative control over the page now. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and import a structure and template that we can use for our new banner, and then we'll walk through what it would look like to provide some translations. Okay, so open up the content section and web content. Okay, go ahead and click on Options and Export Import. Okay. All right, go ahead and click on Import. Click on Select File. All right, and if you're not already there, go ahead and navigate to your Exercises folder. Again, that will be in C Liferay or User Home Liferay. Okay, so I'll do, for example, User Home Liferay. You will have the LRU REL Exercises folder here. And in this 6th chapter here, we have Localization. All right, you'll find the Barcelona.lar. Go ahead and choose that and click Open and Continue and Import. Okay, so that might take a second here. Make sure you see Successful and then go ahead and exit out of this. Okay, and now we are able to provide a new banner using our new structure and template. Okay, so let's click on the Add button here. All right, we will see a hotel banner option. Okay, so click on Add Hotel Banner. All right, it may take a second here to load. I'm gonna go ahead and just refresh. Okay, again, if it happens to be taking a little bit of time to load, you can just go ahead and refresh and add in the information here. All right, so for the title, let's go ahead and type in Barcelona Hotel Banner. Okay. For the hotel name, let's go ahead and type in Livingston Resort at Barcelona. Go ahead and capitalize that there. Okay. For the lead text, let's go ahead and add some text here. So come home to Barcelona, period. Stay with us in the heart of the city. Okay. At Livingston's Barcelona location. Your front door opens to adventure. I totally just wrote all of that off the top of my head. I know, magical, right? No, I'm just kidding. You'll be able to see that in the steps for the exercise. All right, and let's go ahead and choose our image. Okay, by the way, with the exercise files, if you don't want to type all of that I just typed, there is a text file in the exercises that you can copy and paste. So feel free to do that as well. Okay, and for the image, let's go ahead and click on Select. Click on Select File. All right, and in that 6th chapter of our exercises, again, go ahead and select barcelonacity.jpg. Open it up. All right, and let's go ahead and click Add. Scroll down, and we can go ahead and click Publish. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and walk through adding a translation for our new banner. Okay, so you can go ahead and click on the Options menu here. All right, and we can click on Edit. All right, so what you'll see are these flags here, and they show us the different options that we have for our translations. Like I said, in this particular build of Liferay, you may not see the flags here for our fields, but in the final build that will be fully implemented, and our structure fields will be able to have translations included. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's just add the translations here, and we will go ahead and add a translation for the page as well. Okay. So for the title, go ahead and click on the English US. Okay, you'll see that flag. And go ahead and choose ES-ES. That's going to be the Spanish translation. All right, so for the title here, we're going to go ahead and change this. All right, and it's going to be called Barcelona Hotel Banner Spanish. Okay. And let's just add the Spanish here so we can see what it looks like in Español. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and change this to Livingston and Barcelona. Okay. Capitalizing that B again. All right, for the lead text, I expect all of you to be fluent in Spanish, so you can just translate that. No, just kidding. You can just go ahead and open up your exercises. And in the localization section of your exercises, you will find the Barcelona content.txt. Just open that up, and we will see our translations here. Okay. So go ahead and copy the lead text. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this. And place that new text in the lead text there, and we can keep the image. Okay. Now the nice thing about this when it's all working is you can actually also provide a different sort of localization or different option within the content article for your images. So let's say, for example, we have some sort of an exercise business using Liferay and doing these kinds of translations. While in America, posting pictures of things like really ripped guys or really ripped women working out might be fine. We see that all the time for gym promotionals and things like that. It might actually be inappropriate in some other cultures, right? So what you can do is you can provide the translations in the language, but you can also switch up the images as needed as well, okay? So keep that in mind when you have your different translation teams working on the different translations for your content, okay? For our purposes right now, we're gonna go and just stick with the normal image here. We're gonna scroll down and click Publish, okay? Now what this would do is this would give us a new version of our content with our provided translation, all right? We can also provide a translation for our page. So for example, we also have our home page, okay? We can actually go ahead and provide a Spanish translation for that as well, okay? So go ahead and come to Build and Pages. Okay, so we see our home page here. Go ahead and click on Options and Configure. Okay, and we can see that we can provide translations by default for the name of the page as well as the URL, okay? So let's click on the option here for the name. Okay, click on that flag, choose ES-ES, okay? And let's go ahead and type in Inicio, okay? All right, we can also do that for the URL as well. So we can do /Inicio. Okay, we can go ahead and come down and click Save. All right, so now what we can do is we can go ahead and go to the pages and test out our translations, okay? So again, we can either do this with a widget, we can set the default language if you wanted to. Let's go ahead and take a look at the widget, and as sort of a bonus, I'll show you guys what it would look like to just set the default for Spanish. So go ahead and click on Go to Site. All right, and we already have a language selector widget at the bottom of the page. This is from our page template earlier, okay? Now, right now, we just see the English icon. What we can do is we can actually configure this. So we configure it to display only English and Spanish, and we can make it a list as well, so they can just click on the name. All right, so click on Options for this and Configuration. Okay, let's remove everything but English and Spanish. Okay, so we can just click on the ones we want to remove. Click on the arrow, okay? So we don't need any of these languages right now. Perhaps later we might, and we can go ahead and add them in later. Okay, so we should have Spain and English here. We can click Save, okay? What we can also do is we can change the display template. So if we want it to be the icon menu, we can. We could do something like long text, okay, or select box. All right, so maybe I'll do long text and click Save. All right, so we have English and Español. I can click on Español. All right. Might take a second, so I'm going to go ahead and refresh here. Okay, and once we've done this, our page is now in Spanish. Okay, we can go ahead and change our banner here. We have the old banner. Okay, we can see that this is in Spanish. We can see that the menu is in Spanish. The application sections are in Spanish. Okay, so everywhere Liferay can provide the translation, it will. Okay, but when it comes to creating content, we need to provide our own translations. All right, so let's actually change this banner here. So click on the options menu. Okay, and configuration will be configuración. Okay, click on change, which is the cambiar. Now you're doing Liferay in Spanish. All right, and we can go ahead and select our Barcelona hotel banner, Spanish. All right, and click save down here. It's going to be the blue button. And we can exit out. All right, so now we have our Spanish banner. Okay, everything else is in Spanish. Okay, so this is good for our page. Now I'm going to go ahead and change it back to English. So scroll down and click English. Okay, you'll see obviously because the structure is not fully implemented yet, the structure localization, it's still in Spanish up here, which is fine. Okay, and as a little bit of a bonus exercise, let's look at how we can set the default for this site to be Spanish. Okay, go ahead and click on configuration and site settings. It's going to be in the site administration menu. All right, go ahead and click on the languages tab if you're not already there, and choose define a custom default language and additional available languages. Okay, what we can do here again is we can change this from English to Spanish. Okay, and we can go ahead and remove again all of those languages except for Spanish and English. Okay, and we can go ahead and click save. All right, so now the default is Spanish. So when you come to the site, it will be in Spanish, and we have English and Spanish as our available languages. Okay, so I can click go to site. All right, I have my localization, and if I want to see it in English, I can just choose between these two. Okay. All right, so we can see jumping between the two of them using this language widget. So let's go ahead and recap what we just discussed for this section, okay? Liferay does make it easy to provide translations and localizations. Again, localization can be a bit of a bigger term than just providing translations. In the case where images need to be changed for different cultures, for example, okay? You can provide the default set of available languages at the instance level, okay, so for the entire platform. And then you can also set those localizations at the site level as well, okay? We can use things like the language widget to be able to switch between languages on a site. And you can, of course, provide translations in your content as well, okay? And again, what you can also do with your users is they can also have languages set. Again, if you have a process where users are creating their own account, they can set their language in their account, and that would also impact how they are able to view the sites on the platform if there are available translations, okay? Remember that if I come to a site with a particular language, I will see that translation if they exist, and if the translation does not exist, it will just show me whatever the default is, okay? All right, so that's it for our localization in terms of just the default out-of-the-box features. In the next video, what we'll do is we'll just do a brief overview of how you can provide localization in your templates as well. So we talked about web content templates, we talked about application display templates. You can use some code to provide some translations for that as well. Okay, so stick around for the next video and we'll go ahead and take a look.